Good morning. Happy Monday to everybody. Hopefully you guys had an awesome weekend. I'm going to jump right into it this great morning on Monday. A lot of great things going on this week. Hopefully you got some great plans. Hopefully you've written them down. Hopefully you're going to conquer these plans. Hopefully you're going to do it and you're going to do it now. If you're getting to this on Monday morning, that's good. Hopefully I can get in your ear a little bit early to make some things sink home for you on this great week we got ahead of us. Beautiful day here in South Florida. One of the things that I'm grateful for today is just, wow, look at this beautiful sky, the beautiful sun. It is starting to cool down just a little bit here in South Florida. So this is one of my favorite times of the year. I'm going to jump right into something that I hold dear to my heart and something that will help you maybe gain a little bit of control, maybe gain a little bit of perspective in your life. I'm going to try to keep it short today, so it's really quick. I'm going to talk to you about something that a couple people have been asking me and sending me direct messages about having the gratitude journal and what that means. So the gratitude journal that I do, and guys, it doesn't need to be anything, you know, extraneous. It doesn't need to be anything crazy. You don't need to, you know, super plan this unless you know, you're that type of person. But so every day when I wake up, when I'm drinking my coffee and getting prepared for my day, trying to wake up, get the sleepies out, what I am doing is I'm writing down everything that I am grateful for. I didn't come up with this idea. This was not something that I designed. It was something that I picked up from, I believe it was Ed Mylett, which if you guys don't follow this guy, he's absolutely phenomenal. One of the most positive guys I've seen on social media. But anyways, so what I do is I write down the things that I am grateful for. I mean, it's really that simple. You don't need a Sunday. You don't need a prayer before you eat to tell whoever your creator is or whoever you talk to on a daily basis. You don't need a specific time to talk about the things that you're grateful for. I know what I do for me personally, and this is, again, of course, my personal opinion. For me, I have to have a little bit of clarity to my passion and what drives me. And obviously you guys have seen my post and watched my videos, seen my pictures. Obviously, you know, family is extremely important to me. But, you know, more importantly, you know, my daughter and my wife are the two biggest driving forces that I have. That drives me every day to become better. Why? Because I want to take care of them. Why? Because I want to influence them. Why? Because, you know, my wife and I have a phenomenal, passionate life together that has great love and sometimes a little bit of provoking, but it's what makes us both better. So when I write these things down in the morning, what I try to do is obviously start at the top and of course the basics, right? So the basics, your loved ones, your kids, your family, you know, your wife, your husband, your significant other, whatever it may be. But then it gets deeper than that. So what I like to try to do is focus on maybe those top 4 or 5 things that I'm grateful for. And then what I do for a second is I visualize and you know, and I smile and you know, so it excites me and it gives me thinking positive, like my daughter. I mean, every time I see her face, I smile. You know, my wife, every time I think about us, you know, how we started and where we're going and all the funny things that have happened over the years and the great love, you know, and passion that I have for you. Of course, it puts a smile on my face. I mean, I'm smiling usually all the time anyways. But nonetheless, I try to picture those things. And then for a second, things get dark. And this is where some people have a real tough time. Things get dark for a second to where you have to visualize now life without those people or without those things. Without your top 4, your top 5, maybe even top 3. What if you didn't have those? And I know it's horrible to think about. I mean, probably on a weekly basis, you think about these things. Well, at least I do. And, you know, a tear or that feeling like I want to, you know, cry comes out, especially when I'm thinking of my family. Life without them, I cannot quite fathom. So things need to get dark before they get bright. So maybe some of you are thinking, wow, that's, I don't want to do that, man. You're flipping crazy. Well, we all do it to a certain extent, I believe. I believe the human, you know, mind thinks of loss and it thinks of the horrible things, and not because we're walking pessimists, but because it's reality. I mean, we're human. So things get dark for a second, and then of course we build things back up. And the reason why I do that, and the reason why I've been taught to do that, is because, you know, your body and your mind is driven by two things. That's pain and pleasure. Pain and pleasure. You need to feel a little bit of pain in order for you to have some gratitude. I'm going to tell you a quick story. So, quick story. It'll be as fast as I can get it. So, here I am. This is back in, I think, 2004 or 2005. Growing up in my company, making a shit ton of money, hand over fist, more money than I've ever made before in my life. I grew up poor. Yes, we've had to buy food with food stamps when I was a kid. Yes, it was embarrassing. Checks bouncing, not being able to get the best of clothes, all the knockoff brands. You know, as I look back, my poor parents, you know, were doing everything they could possibly do to put food on the table and a roof over our head. And I'm forever grateful that all of their kids turned out phenomenal. But to get back to my story, of course, most of you may know that my wife is from Mozambique, Africa, which is a wonderful place. If you ever get a chance to go, that would definitely be on your bucket list. That I can attest to. One of the most wonderful places I've ever been. So anyways, I was this hot shot, you know, working for, you know, a fast company when it came to growth, especially at the time, and probably making more money than what I deserved at the time, and definitely spending it, buying cars, motorcycles, boats, a lot of fun toys, if you will. I remember having this feeling like I didn't need to worry about what day payday was any longer. I wasn't strapped. I wasn't, you know, hurting for cash. It made me feel good. My wife and I were young. We went out all the time, celebrated all the time, always had these awesome parties, and things were great. So I was on my way to Africa with my wife to meet her parents for the first time. And yes, we were already married. And, you know, meeting her mom and dad and her brother and all of her wonderful family there in Mozambique. I remember going and seeing this country and seeing the people. And I don't want to be long and drawn out, but I want to give you an example. Those of you that have maybe never been to a third world country, and know how things are done, is that you have, of course, you have the ultra elite, the rich of the rich, okay, the gold, the diamonds, the nice beautiful cars, and then you have the extreme poor. Okay, there's not a lot of middle class in these other countries, and regardless of this, what I really took home is, here I was, you know, a young hotshot, making money, spending money, and I don't think for one second that I was as happy as what I saw on the streets of Maputo, Mozambique, which is in the city. I want to tell you, there were kids with no shoes, there were people on the streets, and these are just bums. These are people that live there. These are people that are trying to survive. They're trying to hustle on the streets, right? And I don't mean hustle like stealing shit from you, or taking your, your purse or your wallet, or robbing you. Yeah, that does happen, I think, in every, major city. But this was different. I remember getting there and essentially, of course, engulfing the culture, all the wonderful foods, all the prawns, the seafood, all the glorious things that, Mozambique and Maputo have to offer. But I also was very, very humble. These people had nothing, and they had a grin from ear to ear. They were smiling all the time. They were having fun. They were dancing in the streets to music. They were hustling. There was 8-year-old kids that would do backflips for dollar bills. They had trinkets. They had bracelets that they were making all over the streets, selling them. I remember my wife and I, we bought these ankle bracelets, if you will. And I don't know, if they're popular anymore, but I guess they were a little bit at the time. And her and I had these matching ones that, eventually over time, became brittle and broke off, but definitely was still hanging on to them as a keepsake. But the exciting thing is I saw people that didn't have, not even remotely close to what I had. And granted, yeah, okay, I provided it for my family. I earned that money. I came from being very, very poor to being, in the top, 10 to, 1% at the time of average income, nationwide. But in this nation, it didn't matter what you had. These people were phenomenal. These people were happy. These people were excited, but also they had a little bit of something that I think when you get a lot more money, you kind of lose. And they had an edge. They had an edge to them that was deeper than any entrepreneur, any businessman that I've ever seen. And I think it's, it's almost the eye of the tiger. It's almost this grit, this grind that people get when they have nothing and their back is against the wall and they're thinking about what are they going to eat today? Where are they going to sleep today? How are they going to be able to make money? These kids that we bought the bracelets from on the side of the street took the money, ran, gave it to mom, right? They got a couple of coins back, right? They were paying their rent, if you will. And guess what they did? They went right back out on the street. Selling sunglasses, knockoff sunglasses. Hey, who cares? It all comes from China anyways. Didn't matter to me. I bought like 4 or 5 pairs. Why? Because the guy was like, oh, try these on. Oh, these look nice for you, sir. In his broken, English. It was amazing. These people speak better English than some of the people here in South Florida. You know why? Because they had to learn. Why? To try to sell to the Americans when they came out. Interesting. So here you have 8-year-old kids, 11, 12-year-old kids, doing backflips for dollar bills, okay, smiling from ear to ear. They have gratitude, ladies and gentlemen. They have gratitude. So I know I went off on a little bit of a tangent because I'm very, very passionate about it, okay? Our job on a daily basis is to be able to provide something back to the world. So in order for you to do that, your mind and of course your body, you must be strong. The first thing that you have to do though is look at what you already have. Quit bitching and complaining about the things that you don't. Are you chasing the dollar? For what reason? What are you going to do with the dollar? Are you going to buy time to spend with with your family? Are you going to give back? Are you sharing gratitude with, what about your significant other? What about your children? Are you showing gratitude with your children? Are you showing them what the rough life or the rough world has to offer? I know my daughter knows at a very, very young age, because she spent time in Africa learning about people with nothing, being grateful for the things that she's had. And hey, look, we've had to kind of pound that back into her head a couple of times around the holidays, around birthday times. Because it's not about what you receive, right? It's about what you give. So, ladies and gentlemen, I kind of went a little bit longer than what I expected today. Talking about gratitude. Write it down every morning. Write down your top 5 at least. All the other stuff that you write down, like your car and your nice house that you're excited about, your lake home, you know, whatever the case is, all your toys and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't hurt as bad when you wipe them off the list. So remember, be humble, be grateful, and provoke change, positive change in this world. You owe it to yourself.